Hello, and welcome to Maybe I Can, exploring possibilities one sprinkle at a time. If you've ever found yourself asking, is this all there is to life? Then you're in the right place. I'm Debbie, author, speaker, entrepreneur, and coach. And every Tuesday, I'm here to share a sprinkle of hope and inspiration. Together, we'll uncover the more joy, more fulfillment, more prosperity, more fun. We'll share stories of transformation, actionable tips, and that little nudge you need to take the next step. So let's embark on this journey of discovery and say, maybe I can, to a life filled with more. Ready to find out? Let's get started. The Maybe I Can show starts now. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Maybe I Can podcast. I'm your host, Debbie Weiss. And today I am very excited to welcome my guest, Melissa Moss, to the show. But before I get started and tell you a little bit about Melissa, I have to make sure to mention something that I'm super excited about. So yesterday started the pre-sale for my new course called Maybe I Can Begin to Change My Life. And it's a 6-module course that will take you through a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. You get a printable worksheet, you get lifetime access to everything. And if you're that person who's thinking, is this it in my life? Or maybe you're at a crossroads, a major life transition, and you don't know where to go from here, I'm going to help you with that. So normally the course is going to be $47, but until January, oh my goodness, January. My gosh, we're in June. Until June 16th, I am giving a massive discount, $20 off. So it's only $27 if you purchase by June 16th. So the link will be in the show notes, or you can visit my website, debbierweiss.com. Okay. So Melissa Moss is a dedicated certified financial planner whose journey began with a life-changing financial gift in her youth. This early experience ignited her passion for financial planning, inspiring her to help others create opportunities for their futures. Through her CFP education, Melissa ultimately fell in love with complex financial topics like retirement and income tax planning. Melissa's rewarding career is marked by her ability to guide clients through significant life events, ease their financial anxieties, and provide clear, actionable plans. She stays at the forefront of her field by continually updating her knowledge through industry news, webinars, and training sessions. Her comprehensive M3 system, Make More Memories, ensures a well-rounded approach to wealth management, tax planning, retirement, estate planning, and more. Rooted in personal values of family, relationships, love, and stewardship, Melissa believes in balancing future planning with living in the present. Her approach helps clients use their resources wisely, creating lasting memories and enriching their lives today and tomorrow. Through her expertise and heartfelt dedication, Melissa Moss empowers her clients to plan for financial security and live their best lives. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So I am going to ask you the same question that I ask all of my guests. Please share with us a time that you went from a defeated, I can't attitude to an empowered, maybe I can mindset.
Oh, yes. You know, you mentioned the income tax planning, and I think it was actually around that. I was studying for my CFP, and this just was the module that would never end. So, like a lot of people in the world might be able to relate to this, but I just was not loving income tax planning. And then suddenly, I just decided, well, let me get curious about this. How can I shift my experience of income tax planning, and what is there for me to get inside of this? And so that shift into curiosity really changed this course work for me from something that was just unbearable and I couldn't handle it, to maybe I can actually get through this and maybe I can actually love it. And it's become to me, learning this, to me, it feels like 3D chess now. So it's a lot of fun.
Let's nerd out for a minute. In my first profession, I was actually a CPA. And of all the different things that I did, income taxes was my favorite thing, which sounds so crazy, I'm sure, to most people. But when you really do get into it, I love what you said about a 3D chess match, because that's really what it is. It's understanding the nuances, right? And figuring out what moves to make to use them to your advantage, legally, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
So I was honored to meet you, Melissa, because you got in touch with me and asked me to be a part of your amazing retirement event. And in a minute, I'll ask you to tell people about that. But I'm very curious because you're not retirement age, and there are so many different niches that you could be interested in. What is it about retirement that, you know, got you interested?
It's, I think, a very important time in someone's life. And, that aside, I actually really love people of that age group who are retiring and just getting to shift into a different gear in life. So I love hanging out with some of my best friends are a little older than I am. And some of them retired young, some of them retired later. But I think I love the people quite a bit. It starts with that. But it's also such an important time and it's a vulnerable time because you are shifting into um, self-funding the rest of your life. And while that's exciting, it's also a little bit scary. And there are a lot of things outside of our control. So I just really have a heart for serving people. And this is, it meets, I get to marry the people I love working with along with my skill set. And to me, it's just a brilliant time to get to do that.
I love that. Okay, so now tell people about this amazing retirement event of yours, because the thing that I love so much about it is, as a certified financial planner, you would think that it was going to be all finances, and that isn't even close.
No, we're hardly talking about money, hardly. It's really so the Remarkable Retirement Event is really all about lifestyle and quality of life things that people entering into retirement might be considering or might be faced with. And this is really it's a series of conversations, from the potentially obvious things like health and wellness, because we want to have that for everything we want to do the rest of our lives. And so we're not spending all of our hard earned money on our medical bills. But it's also around purpose and even some stuff like what do we do with the stuff that the kids don't want? So these are topics that loved ones in my life have faced. And I just think they're so important to discuss some of them are really, really fun to get into. And then also some pain points. I find myself and my clients were complaining about things like the cost of insurance. And so these are just, while it's easy to complain about, understanding a little bit more around what we're facing and speaking with experts who might be able to guide us. And that's one of the financial things that we talked about. Um, but it's just so important to be able to talk about what we might be experiencing in life as if we're enjoying time with friends, playing a card game, or having a glass of wine. These are just life things, and life and our goals and our values, our priorities. This is, I think, what life is really all about. Sorry, my dog wants to be part of the show.
That's okay.
So,
We welcome all dogs. We're a
yes.
dog-friendly show.
Oh, good. So,
I'm sorry, I made a big smile when you said about the rising cost of insurance, because that's what I do now. I'm an insurance agent now, and auto insurance rates well, both auto and home insurance rates, particularly all around the country, are going up, and we're just having a big rate increase. And so we're getting people calling, yelling at us right now. So I just had a smirk when you said that because, I just left that about an hour ago.
Yes.
But
So
it is what's happening. I mean, it is, we all know the price of everything is going up, especially over the last few years. And, you know, insurance is one of them with all of the weather-related incidents and the price of new cars and used cars and
there's
repairs and
a
labor.
mul
There's a multitude of reasons that it's happening. So, um,
absolutely. And I
yeah,
believe there's a multiplier effect as well with, all of the inflation. It's catching up inside of these policies. And it's
exactly.
not just one thing, So it's then property taxes is another, but that we don't cover that in the summit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, I should have written it down when I looked before, but there was really, what was the most interesting, unusual thing that you learned through all these interviews that you've done?
you know, eh, it was just an honor. I think I have one scheduled left. So to date, I think we've done 37,
Oh my goodness.
maybe 38. And so quite a few. And some of my favorite topics, honestly, hormones and menopause was one of them. And so learning about how our hormones can affect everything, quality of life and aging, and even potentially Alzheimer's or dementia is related to that. And
Mm.
so the earlier we get started on taking care of ourselves and some of these seemingly, maybe just nuisance things, they actually might be more than a nuisance. So paying attention to that and doing what we can do now for longevity, that was really cool to learn about. But also just some mindset things. I love talking to you, Debbie, about what you were saying about, well, maybe I can. And then some of the other mindset coaches who I just saw myself in what they were sharing about and got to learn more about possibilities. And I really hope that people watching can lean into that as well, because this is a life. You might be retired, but retirement is it's a stage of life. And we still have hopes and dreams and wishes and things that we want. So,
I love that because, for the longest, actually, until the last few years, it seemed like everything was always about reaching that stage, right? And at least in my mind, it was and has been, how am I ever going to have enough money for that? Am I ever going to be able to retire? And as I get older and I don't have enough money to retire, it used to scare the life out of me. And I think now in the last few years, since I have, shifted my mindset to a maybe I can mindset, and I've opened up a whole new world of possibilities, I'm no longer afraid anymore because I'm excited. I I don't want to stop working. Maybe I don't want to work in insurance until my final days. As a matter of fact, not maybe, I don't, but that's okay. I found other passions and no longer feel like and I don't want to say this because I do enjoy my day job. I don't want to say I'm counting the days until I was able to stop working in my insurance agency because I don't feel that way. But I think it's what are we counting for? We're waiting to retire what? And then we think our life is over? And I think that was kind of not that I was thinking my life was going to be over, but almost like, yeah, now it's just time to sit back. And if you want to just sit back, that's fine, but that doesn't have to be the way it is. I think the people that I see thriving in retirement are those who do continue to learn and explore and learn, maybe things they didn't have time to, look at when they were working full time. And I think you're absolutely right. It's It should be an exciting time of life,
It
for
is,
sure.
for a lot of people, it's very exciting. And I think some people, they might have like a momentary hard transition into it. And so it's more learning this new lifestyle and what that'll be. And then I've seen people come out a couple months later, a couple years later, and they realize, oh, I don't even know how I had time to have a job. Or, so it
I
is.
just met a woman like that just last week, and she said, I'm busier. I'm as busier now than I ever was when I was working full time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It is absolutely great. So tell me, let me ask you something. In your bio, it says that you received a life-changing financial gift when you were younger. Is that something you're open to discussing?
Yeah, I can share a little bit about that. So, when I was younger, so part of my story and how I got into wanting to help people with money. My dad has been in the business now, and we're in business together. So he's more in his coasting days. He spends more time playing golf than working, and I while I'm building the business and helping our clients. But when I was young, I did receive a sum of money, and I don't think I knew it at the time. I was too young to realize any of this or know what money was.
Sure.
But what he did with that was really such a smart thing, but a loving thing. And so he put that um into a plan that would at college age generate for me more than enough money to go to school almost anywhere I wanted to go to school. And so that was something that wouldn't have happened without his planning or foresight. And it was really a time that allowed me to start my life off, a little bit ahead of things. So having that experience and seeing what planning and opportunity can do to money and really multiply it or give purpose to something, then that, and it was a legal settlement. We don't need to go into the details of that,
Yeah,
but it was ultimately the planning around that. And I know not everybody has that particular circumstance happen for them, nor what I want them to,
I'm
but
sure.
but it's really in I see just the potential for things, even if we do things on a smaller scale, if we just month by month or year by year set aside just a little bit for the people we love and care about, or something we want to do, or some aspects in our future that we might have a hard time actually seeing happen. It's graduation time, and I'll walk around my neighborhood and I'll see class of 2035 or something. I'm like, I don't know what that number means.
I know.
So,
I know.
so it's a little bit of faith in the future, and that, that day will come, that number will make sense on a calendar one day. So, but
Yeah, it's crazy to see those year numbers. Oh my goodness. It's nuts. So have you done any exploration into kind of the I can't think of the right adjective. So the world of money that isn't so much practical, but as far as how you view your money and what your money story is, because until a few years ago, I didn't realize, and everyone who's ever listened to me, very embarrassing since I was a CPA and I am an insurance agent, and I do know, I don't want to say all the things, but a lot of things. And didn't carry that through in my personal life. And I think what I came to realize was it's not just about knowing the practical, it's about learning where this came from. Do you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
I absolutely know what you're talking about. In fact, I think there's a huge difference between the knowing and the belief around money, and they can be completely not in tune with each other. So um plenty of people know how to save and invest money and don't do it, or aren't able to, or circumstances happen, right? And there is often like the money story that we tell ourselves, and that can run the show quite a bit. We may not even realize it. And so I think it does take some inner work sometimes to maybe understand that, hey, maybe it's not my intellect that is calling the shots here, but rather something deeper inside of me, maybe an emotional response that I'm trying to, I don't know, buy shoes to not feel that thing. And so I have, in fact, purchased shoes to not feel something.
Oh, well, who hasn't?
Yeah, so it does happen to all of us. I think at some point, if that does come up for anyone, start journaling about it, write it out, ask yourself questions, the maybe pretend to be a 3-year-old and keep asking yourself why, but why, or what's underneath that. So just getting curious about it, I think can help quite a bit. And going back to think about our money stories of origin, there may be things that we're carrying from our parents or our grandparents. We might not even know we inherited that belief about money. So it's really important.
Exactly. And I think, for me, that's what happened, realizing, oh, what do I equate money with? I equate money with stress. And so it was almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I could picture my dad sitting there on a Saturday, 1 or 2 Saturdays a month, and hunched over the desk, grumbling, and then you didn't want to go near him the rest of the day because he was pretty unhappy. And yeah, I realized that I had just basically duplicated kind of the same, I don't want to say mistakes, but same attitudes, same mistakes. Even though you look at something and you say, I'll never do that, I'll never do that, that'll never be me. Sometimes, right? But yeah, I'm actually reading Ken Honda's book called Happy Money. He's Japan's #1 best-selling development guru. And it's interesting because he talks about how money can represent stress and fear and anxiety. And on the other hand, right, it can do just the opposite. It can make you feel good, as I'm sure you do, make you feel good. Somebody gives you money, but you know that you've helped them in return, or when you can use money to help other people, whether it's, donating or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, that's kind of the difference between, our relationship with money and how we can view it. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And it's just a different way to look at it than just the practical way.
I absolutely agree. And money is an exchange of energy. It's a tool. And, to think about giving, that's you're giving energy towards something, or you've received energy for what you've done for other people. It really is a medium that we can think about like that. And it's, it is something that people can learn more about and do better for themselves if they want to, or we can change our minds about how we think and feel or relate to money. Absolutely. All of this is doable. And, so many of us do have money stories. I have a client who was sharing about how her family had a lot of money, and then they didn't lose money in the Holocaust, but they lost their ability to make it. And so her money story has been shifted since that moment. And so really learning to break through, and she's learned how to make good money, and there's still more there to uncover. So it's sometimes a process for all of us. And hopefully we all, want to break through whatever self-limiting belief we may have around that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's kind of comforting, and it's kind of eye-opening to look at it in a different light. So what advice would you have for someone like me who's 60 and is inching closer to retirement, but doesn't have enough money?
Yes. Well, I'm so glad you asked. I think I really like what you're doing. And I would get curious. I would get creative. So, um, if you feel like retirement is near and you should be further along, or even if retirement's not near, you just should be further along than where you are now. Um, that's a judgment, right? So we can just let that go and think, okay, well, here's where I am. What can I do? How can I make this fun? How can I stack the odds in my favor so that I can play the game to win and win a game I want to win? So I think it's about getting a little curious, thinking outside of the box, in that if you have any limitations, maybe allow that as a way to challenge your creativity. Sometimes we allow a roadblock to just stop us, when in fact it's an invitation to think more creatively. So I'd say do that. And it doesn't ever hurt to chat with somebody to say, hey, this is what I've got going on. If you find a trusted advisor, somebody who you think might be able to help you look at your situation and maybe help you see what might be in a blind spot, or see a possibility that you haven't yet uncovered for yourself, I mean, that's probably worth it as well. So,
And let me ask you, because I find that prospect intimidating if I'm someone who doesn't have enough money, because I feel like I'm going to be judged. Now, obviously, that's a limiting belief or a hang up that I have. How do you look to find, what's the best way to find a trusted advisor that you connect with?
yeah, that's a great question. And I must apologize on behalf of my industry. We do that to ourselves because so many of us say, well, I won't speak with anyone who doesn't have XYZ amount to invest. Well, I think that's, if you have any friends who can recommend somebody who you feel like, okay, this might be somebody I can trust with this area that's vulnerable to me, and I'd like to see how they can help me. That's one place to start. But there are many of us out there who don't have huge minimums or are willing to talk with you, even fee-only financial advisors. I'm not a fee-only financial advisor, but there are people who, in exchange for a fee, can give you a plan. And then, like me, we're Main Street advisors. We work with regular everyday people, and it's not about having, some crazy amount of wealth. It's about aligning your resources and your values. And so find someone that connects with you. Keep asking. I would say ask your friends who they
Yeah,
trust.
great advice. And Melissa, if people want to find you, please tell everyone where they can.
Absolutely. So the best place to find me right now is melissamoss.co or at theremarkableretirementevent.com. So come join us at the party over there. And I'm on social media as well, but melissamoss.co will have all the links to all the places where you can find me.
So thank you so much. And everybody else, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for spending part of your day with me here on Maybe I Can, exploring possibilities one sprinkle at a time. It's been great having you, and I hope you're leaving with a spark to light up your journey to more. Remember, every big change starts with a single maybe. If you're ready to kickstart that change but not sure where to begin, I've got just the thing for you. Head over to download my free guide, The One Critical Step to Kickstart Change, and take that all-important first step. Let's make those maybes into reality one sprinkle at a time. Catch you next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific with more stories, tips, and that extra push you might need. I'm Debbie saying goodbye for now, but always remember, maybe, just maybe, you can.